The date was the 5th of July 2022, and it was another day in my diary, another day in the quest to become stronger. I was on a mission to turn my weaknesses into my strengths. So I began my hunt. I wanted to find the key to unlock those gains, but I knew it required some work. I searched far and wide, but then it hit me. The answer I was looking for was right in front of me the whole time.
Oh, it was really basic and simple on paper, as most routines should be. And now how you apply it is where the genius part comes in, where you got to leave your ego at home. That's the hardest part. You know, if you have a great day, you don't jump off schedule and go heavier, because that affects the end. You do 4 or 5 training cycles a year and you get almost all these compound exercises just a little bit stronger in one training cycle, and you have those many training cycles a year. Where are you at 5-10 years? You got this impenetrable suit of armor with chunks of muscle and strength everywhere. So I think that's the reason why I lasted so long.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Avi, and I'm on a very simple mission. That mission is to help you win in the gym so you can win in life. On today's video and in this series in general, my aim is to show you what I'm doing during my training sessions, give you a few tips along the way, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Without further ado, let's get into the workout. Let's go. So my first exercise was actually a lat pull down. My first exercise is always usually a compound, just because they demand the most energy from me. And for this session in particular, it was a barbell reverse lunge, but the power racks were all taken. It was a busy day in the gym, so I started on my second exercise, or my third exercise, which was the lat pull down. And with the lat pull down, I was working for 3 sets of 12 in this. The goal for the session in total is RP 8, which means I'm working to about 2 reps in reserve on every exercise. And yeah, this is the lat pull down. It's just a nice vertical pulling movement, just to keep my shoulder blades nice and healthy and build that big back, because we all like a big back, right? By back I mean the back muscles, not the bunda. Yeah. Exercise number 2, which was actually meant to be exercise number 1, was, as I mentioned earlier, the barbell reverse lunge. So I've included these in my program for a couple of reasons. One, I suck on one leg, and you know, it might be a result of a hip issue which I have, which I'm actually managing, and it doesn't cause me any pain or anything. It's something that I'm aware is there, and if I don't manage it, I could end up pretty much injured, which I don't really want. And the second reason that I include these in my program is I train in Muay Thai alongside my strength training, and the lunge pattern is pretty apparent in Muay Thai. You know, anytime you're throwing a punch, anytime, you know, just the footwork in general, it's a split stance. Anytime you're throwing a kick, there is a lunge pattern that is apparent throughout the whole of any or most striking sports. And what this is going to do in my program is going to allow me to continue to build injury resilience, and it's going to set a nice foundation for performance. However, my execution on these isn't the best, which may be a result of the load that I used, because I don't think I had an issue with lighter loads. It's just ego took over a bit, I admit, and it caused me to butcher this movement, as we can see from the deviations in my lower back as I go through the lunge, and you know, almost falling off balance with some of the reps. So what I'm going to do going forward is sub in some dumbbell reverse lunges or a safety bar lunge, reverse lunge, and most importantly, use less weight, and really focus on nailing the movement. And it's no longer going to be a primary movement in my sessions. It's in fact going to be maybe the second or the third movement that I'll perform for a session. So naturally, as a result, I'll be using less load, and I'll be forced to focus on technique a bit more. With these, I performed 3 sets of 6, and just for the sake of completion, I worked up to 75 kilos, which I progressed week on week. although I'm not going to count it as 75 kilos because the technique was pretty sloppy. Anyway, moving on to the next exercise. So next I went for a landmine press. Again, I've included these for the benefit of my Muay Thai training. Of course, you could argue it's a shoulder exercise, but I see it very differently. I don't really think of muscle groups. That is for bodybuilders. I am a strength athlete, and I try to focus more on performance. So therefore, I look at movements and how I can add movements into my programming that will help me with things outside of the gym. So with the landmine press, it serves to keep my shoulders nice and healthy, moving through a nice complete range. Plus the element of anti-rotation, so having to resist any movement through the trunk as you're pressing, it adds for some bonus core training. So it's a win-win in my eyes. I worked up to 22.5 kilos on this for 12 reps, and I performed 3 sets of those. Okay, so the final exercise was a Copenhagen Plank. I apologize for the angle of the camera. I pretty much cut off my head with these. But you can see the main part of this, which is the fact that I'm clamping onto a bench, or yeah, in this case a bench, but it can be literally any high surface. And I'm holding it as an isometric exercise. So first of all, how I programmed for this was literally just 2 sets of 30 seconds per side. And the reason why I had this in my programming is, one, as I mentioned earlier, my hip issue. I find that these help to manage that pretty nicely. And second of all, or I guess most importantly, I guess it's of equal importance, they help to target the inner thigh muscles, so the adductors. Now, they're one of the major muscle groups that help us to move side to side, and it's very important in the realm of combat sports. Of course, in combat sports, there's a lot of movement. It's quite a chaotic environment in the sense that, you know, with weights you can predict where you're going to go. You're either going forwards and backwards, or so on and so forth. With or should I say, in the realm of strength training, you're in a fixed plane of movement. Versus in combat sports or sports in general, it's a lot more chaotic. You're not just backwards and forwards. You might be going side to side. You might be moving in all these different directions. Therefore, strength training should be used to help you build resilience towards that, because there's all these fantastic tissues and muscles in the body, and you know, the more we use and abuse our body, the more the likelihood of injury goes up. So we want again, as I said, our strength training to account for that. So anytime you're standing on one leg, like every step you take whilst you're walking, the adductors work to prevent your knee from caving in. So ideally you want them to be here, not there. And just like the abdominal muscles, they work in everyday life as stabilizers and not necessarily movers, which isn't to say an exercise like an adductor machine is bad. It's just this serves more of a functional purpose, and you know, they both have their place in a program. It's just, in my case, for my program, I prefer a Copenhagen Plank. Now, I know what you're thinking. Only 4 exercises? What's going on here? Well, this is where social media and influencers have duped you. They've tricked you into thinking exercise has to be like a Rocky montage every day. It doesn't. And ultimately, this is just how I program for myself. My goal is ultimately performance-based. And at the same time, I do have to manage my previous injuries, which is where I do utilize strength training to help me build a bit more resilience, and it helps to build my capacity against injuries and capacity for movement in general. And again, it's going to stop me getting injured going forward. Now, when you focus on a controlled movement, this is the benefit of learning to move well. You're able to extract more from the exercise, and you, in a sense, feel it more, versus performing, I don't know, a set of 20 on a squat to complete failure, and not only feeling your leg muscles work, but your lower back is probably screaming as a result of those 20 reps. And in my opinion, I don't really want to be feeling any pain that I don't need. I'd only rather feel the pain in my muscles burning and screaming and telling me to stop, but my brain telling me to keep. Anyway, I'm on a tangent there, but let's carry on. So at the same time, I want to manage my energy. Let's forget about my injuries for a second. If I burn myself out, take on strenuous strength exercise, then I train in Muay Thai on top of that, then how am I going to have enough energy to handle my actual responsibilities, like making these videos for you guys and going to work and doing all these things in my life? I just won't. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as well as turn on the notification bell so you know exactly when I upload. Also, check out my videos on the right and check out my socials down below, and I shall catch you in the next video.